Welcome to the Intellectual Conversations with the Gigantic Intellect. Today's opinion piece is titled Talent. It was written on the 11th of November 2024 and it reads as follows. After a thorough reflection and expedition on the meaning and origin of the lexicon talent, I deemed it necessary for me to dissect and narrate an educational story concerning my life. I had always considered myself to be less talented in many fields and facets. In fact, I don't know of any skill or ability which comes naturally in my realm of expertise. Everything I know today, I learned it through struggle and sweat. I owe my upbringing from a deeply religious home. Thus, I obviously had a parental obligation to go to church. I was baptized at the age of 16 years and apparently became a member of the choir at church. Being a member of the choir played a huge and significant role upon my life, particularly in shaping and influencing my character and personality. From my high school days, I had always been fond of music and singing. That was largely influenced by my sister, Concelia, who was super talented in music and singing, and still is to this day. She most often sang at school assemblies and would on several occasions sing together at school assemblies. As I reflect upon those days, I eventually begin to believe that indeed birds of the same feather flock together. Your personality and habits draws shape and influence from people surrounding you. In those days, I knew nothing about music. In honest observation, I was truly a terrible singer. By virtue of my sister's influence in music, I also began attending choir. At that particular time, the mighty God surrounded me with great mentors and leaders. With zero knowledge of music, I was elected to be a choir conductor. However, I was very privileged because I had people who taught and assisted me in this meaningful role of being a conductor. I struggled a lot in learning to be a music conductor, and people used to laugh at me when I defaulted. However, my mentors supported and encouraged me until I became averagely good at conducting. Seeing that I was improving in my craft, my mentors moved me from being a conductor to now being a leading singer. Bear in mind that I also had to start from zero because I also was a terrible singer. People once again, and justifiably so, laughed at me when I faltered or made mistakes. But once again, with the support and encouragement of my mentors, I managed to pull through. I eventually became a pillar of strength in my beloved church. Furthermore, I completed my college studies and went to varsity. My days at varsity were truly revolutionary. I became fascinated by a whole lot of things, including politics, history, economics, financial education, philosophy, public speaking, and language. I dedicated my time into improving my knowledge and skills in those areas. I watched YouTube videos, read a variety of books on diverse topics. I learned new words, practice public speaking, practice to speak with my favorite British accent, learned to write, and by virtue of that, I got exposed to a new world and reality. I began recording videos speaking the English language as an attempt to evaluate my eloquence and accent. I became obsessed mainly with the English language. The obsession was triggered by the fact that most people I admired in varsity often spoke the English language with a private school accent. Presentations were done through the language. Indeed, circumstances dictated and compelled me into becoming compendious with the language. I then started thinking through the language. I became insanely obsessed with Obsessed to the extent that I innocently and regrettably started using the language unnecessarily in family gatherings and with irrelevant people. I did all those things out of obsession for the language, not for status. However, I still to this day regret doing that because that has created a wrong impression about me. In conclusion, the moral story of this opinion piece is that people are going to laugh at you when you start doing something. And talent is often overrated because majority of the people that are mastering their professional field today began as novice and less talented or skilled in those fields. It is obsession and courage that made them super skilled in those facets. Obsession inspires devotion and tenacity. My life story is often an example of what obsession can do for you. I don't have any talent, but I have the courage and willingness to learn a new skill. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, or rather, Rich Dad taught Robert and Mike in the best-selling book Rich Dad, Poor Dad that they mustn't seek specialization, but rather they ought to seek to know little about multiple fields. This is the gigantic intellect. Know thyself and remember your ancestors. Peace.